Hi there, and welcome back to Paws and Pawsitivity. I'm Jamie Watkinson-Harvey, your certified dog trainer, behaviour consultant, and your host for this little corner of dog-loving goodness. Whether you're at home with a cuppa or out on a walk with your pup, I'm really glad that you're here, because today we're talking about something that so many people are struggling with right now. Dogs that just won't stop barking. Honestly, if I had a biscuit for every time someone's messaging me saying, Jamie, my dog barks all the time, what do I do? I'd have to open a bakery. And if you're one of those people, first of all, you're not alone. It doesn't make you a bad guardian. It just means your dog is trying to tell you something. And it's our job to listen. Now, before we even get into the nitty-gritty, I want to say up front, barking is normal. It's communication. It's your dog using their voice. But I know it can become overwhelming, especially if it's constant, disruptive, or seems to come out of nowhere. Now, most importantly, first thing being first, is it medical? This is the absolute starting point. If your dog is barking excessively and it's a new behaviour, or it's getting worse, get them checked out by your vet. Always, no matter what. It's really not ethical for any trainer or behaviourist, including me, to start dishing out advice without ruling out pain or illness first. Because here's the thing, dogs in pain often become more reactive. They might bark more at things they've never bothered them before. A dog with a urinary tract infection might bark to go every 5 minutes. A dog with dementia might bark in confusion. A dog with arthritis might bark because uncomfortable being touched or moved. So many health issues can affect behaviour, so we've got to tick that box first. If the vet gives the all clear, that's when we start exploring what's going on emotionally and environmentally. Once we know that they're physically okay, we can start then figuring out what's driving the barking. And here's the key. Barking is always for a reason. They're not doing it to annoy you. They're not doing it to be naughty. They're trying to meet a need or communicate a feeling. Now, there are lots of reasons dogs bark. Sometimes it's boredom. Other times it's anxiety, frustration, fear, excitement, or even because they've learned that barking gets attention. Some dogs bark at people walking past the window. Others bark when they're left alone. Some bark when they're scared by loud noises or new situations. So rather than asking, how do I stop it? A better question is, what is my dog trying to say? Before we do get into the kind stuff that actually helps, let's quickly clear up a few of the not so helpful things that you might have seen floating around online. And look, I get it. When you're desperate and sleep deprived and your neighbours are complaining, it's easy to fall for quick fixes. But I've seen a worrying rise in advice suggesting things like shock collars, vibrating collars, water sprays, citronella sprays, and shaking tins of pebbles. Here's the truth. These tools don't address the reason your dog is barking. They just punish them for doing it. And all that really teaches them is that it's not safe to communicate. It might suppress the barking, yes, but it doesn't make them feel better. In fact, it often makes things worse. You end up with a quieter dog who's still scared, still anxious, still overwhelmed, but now they don't feel safe expressing it. And that breaks my heart, because dogs deserve to feel safe in their own homes. So if you've been tempted by one of these quick fixes, please know I'm not judging, but I'm here to offer something better. So let's talk solutions, real ones that build trust instead of fear. Firstly, figure out when and where your dog is barking. Keep a little diary if it helps. What's happening right before the barking starts? What does your dog look like? Are they alert, scared, bored, excited? This helps us understand the why. Next, we can look at the most common types of barking and what to do about each. If your dog is barking at the window all day long, let's reduce the triggers. You might try some frosted window film or move the furniture away from the window so they can't camp out and bark at every passerby. Give them things to do. A comfy spot, a snuffle mat, a long-lasting chew. Boredom is often a big part in this type of barking. If your dog is barking when you leave the house, this might be separation anxiety or isolation distress. That's a deeper topic, and it takes time. But the short version is, we never want to just leave them to cry it out. That only damages trust. Instead, we want to work on gradually building their confidence and independence, always at their pace. If your dog barks at noises or guests or on walks, it could be fear-based. In those cases, we look at desensitization and counter-conditioning. That's a fancy way of saying we help your dog to feel safe again. We pair the scary thing with something lovely, like cheese or chicken, so the scary thing starts to predict good stuff instead of bad. And if your dog is barking for attention, guess what? That's a valid need too. You can still work on alternative behaviors like sitting quietly or bringing a toy, but the answer isn't to ignore them completely or punish them for trying to connect. One of the best ways to reduce barking overall is to meet your dog's needs before they need to shout about it. Make sure they're getting enough mental stimulation, things like sniffy walks, enrichment games, and food puzzles. Physical exercise is important, but brain work matters just as much. And sleep. Dogs need loads of rest, so if they're overtired, they might get a bit more reactive and barky. Also, don't underestimate the power of routine. Dogs love predictability. If they know when walks, meals, and quiet times are coming, they often feel more secure, and that can reduce a lot of anxious barking. Look, if you've been losing sleep over barking or feeling embarrassed by your dog's noise, I want you to know this. You're doing your best. Your dog isn't broken, and you don't need to punish them into silence. With the right approach, one based in understanding, compassion, and science, you can make progress. It might take time, and there's no magic off switch. But you're not alone on this journey. And your dog will thank you for listening to what they're really trying to say. And that's it for today's episode of Paws and Pawsitivity. I hope this gave you a bit of hope and maybe a few tools to help you feel more in control and connected with your pup. If this episode helped, I'd really appreciate if you gave the podcast a positive rating, shared it with a friend, or subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Your support genuinely means the world to me, and it helps to keep the positive message going. Until next time, take care and give your pup a big hug from me. Woofity woof.